It is absolutely possible on my part to explain to you the excitement that I feel by virtue of the complexity of what I'm saying, by virtue of this labyrinthine, Mandelbrot, fractal complexity, multiple plates, Django, watching the Democratic Party collapse, the unplanning, the chaos. Don't forget what the opposite of chaos is: cosmos, the disorder, the random disorder, the entropy, the confusion, the fact that there is not a singular message of the Democratic Party, that it has been cobbled together in hodgepodge, and the sole focus of the Democratic Party for the past 9 years has been anti-Trump. And you can't have a political party based on not being something. You can't say, for example, I have a restaurant and it's called the not Italian restaurant, or we're not Armenian. I'm the anti-Japanese restaurant. What does that mean? The negation of something is not the promotion of an idea. It catches up with you. It catches up with you. And a lot of folks who are involved in this political thing for the first time, they're jumping in because of a very simple event. In our society, we have these dates. When you say September the 11th, 9/11, September the 11th, 9/11. When I say October the 7th, when you think of, Gaza, that is always October the 7th, 9/11. 7/11, which is the UK version of that. December the 7th. Just say the date. You know what it is. Yesterday, June 27th. June 27th was the end of the Democratic Party as we know it. There will be a resurrection of something new. But just like you go to a lot and you see there used to be a building there. The lot's there, but the building's gone. There used to be something there, but it's gone. It was here. The Democratic Party was here. They weren't paying attention. Things happen. Things happen in life. Things happen, and it's hard to explain why they do, but they do. One of the most important things for kids to learn by analogy, which is what I always suggest, I always recommend. And I've been saying this for the longest time, that when we were kids, we did certain things that we didn't know they were important. One of them was blocks. When you give a little boy blocks, little building blocks, with the letters and all that. If you give a boy blocks or girl blocks, girls will spread the blocks out, almost making like either not a campsite, but some kind of a thing. Boys will stack the blocks. And when you're a kid and you're young and your brain is connecting and formulating different connectors, you take a block and you put it on top of each other. And it falls over. And you realize, unless you have some independent structure, a support, something to lean against, no matter how carefully you are, it gets to a point where it just tumbles, unless there is a support structure, unless there is something holding it all together. You just can't stack ideas. The Democratic Party can't take radical leftist racial arsonists here, environmentalist kooks here, anarchist, lefty, proto-sexual, cis-trans, and you can't stack these dissimilar interests on top of each other. Oh, and TDS and this and that. You can't throw in, well, here's a Bernie contingent. Well, here's a leftist contingent. Well, here's the leftover hippie. Here's the anti-war here. You can't stack these disparate, completely disconnected groups of people on top of each other and expect them to maintain any shape or order. They come tumbling down. That's what's happening now. And by the way, that's why when you want to if you have any grandkids, give them blocks. Trust me on that one. June 27th. It changed. This is the end of the RadLeft, evil, radical left, Democratic lizard monsters. For now. This is beyond anything you've ever seen. Let me explain this to you. First, if you're expecting to learn anything on cable news, you're wasting your time. And the reason why, as I've told you, is they never give you enough time to explain it. The reason why people don't go to, you know how they have short stories? Yeah, they don't have short movies. You might see a short movie, a mini movie, maybe before the movie starts in the old days, but nobody goes to see a mini movie. You're not going to pay a ticket to go park, walk into a theater and see something for, 5 minutes. It's just not going to happen. That is cable news. And sad to say, for most Americans who fancy themselves as being, news oriented, that still represents something that's happening. So let me explain what's going on here. First and foremost, Joe Biden. Joe Biden says, I'm not leaving. Joe Biden says, screw you, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Let me make this very, very clear to you. I am not leaving. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you want. I don't care what you ask. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. And you're not going to get rid of me. And, you're not going to blame. Don't blame Jill. Don't blame these people. Please don't do that. This is me. It's me. I'm doing this. It's all about me. I'm staying. A good friend, B. Wakul, Aussie here, said, I really believe that Brandon won't leave office. There could be a national emergency of some kind, rebellion, claim of voter fraud or international false flag, etc., where he induces martial law. Aussie, who has been studying tea leaves. Wakul, thank you, my friend. It's fascinating that you say this, because we're going to be talking about this the same way. One of the things which is interesting, very, very interesting, I keep saying this, is that, how do we say this? This could be, but before we get to that, let me explain the patient to you and see if this makes any sense and see if this works. You have this group, you have this guy, Joe Biden. Now, you can, if you want, you may, if you want. You may want to do this. You may, it's okay. You can stick with what he is or get rid of him. Let's look at the parties involved. First, the Democrats want him out. Okay? The Democrats want him out. Can we all agree to that? Yes. All Democrats? All Democrats. All of them? All of them. Oh, there's going to be a kind of a straggler here who says, kind of like an axelrod, like, well, but it's very, very tepid. So fact number one, Democrats want him out. Fact number two, as of today, we have 121 days. You got that? Good. So what do you do? What do you do? There's the Biden group. Kamala Harris is here. Kamala Harris is going to say to the world, I am here to represent and to stand by Joe. We got that. This is what you're supposed to say. I got it. Third person, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is going out as a proxy, surrogate, representative, apparatchik, whatever you want to call it, for Biden, but he's sticking a knife in his back. But Biden says, I understand you, and I'll take you. I know it's like I'm going to pick my assassin. Do I want you to do it, or do I want her to do it? It's like when they got big, can I even say his name? Mr. Bumpacero, whatever his name was. When they whacked him, he said, Tony, just not in the face. This, you kind of want somebody because Joe Biden knows, oh, they're coming after me. This is it. I want to stay. Gavin Newsom is really the heir apparent. He's Judas. I mean, he's my assassin, but better him than Kamala. Kamala represents those people. Now, watch what happens. Biden is being double-crossed by both of them. But remember, Gavin Newsom does it, but in a nice way. Now, here's what is going to happen. And listen very carefully. In the next week, a day is a year. Everything's going to be compressed. The oppositional information, the data that have been compiled against Kamala Harris will make your head spin. It has nothing to do about her sexual dalliances as a young woman with Willie Brown. That's not it. That's not it. Believe me when I tell you that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking other dirt. It has been reported, and this is critical, that the same kind of circles that everybody works together. Let me give you an example. There was it might still be an agency group, agents like TV agents, and they would represent two different people at the same station, sometimes on the same show. This is a conflict of interest. For whom do they represent? And I ask one, how can your competitor, because in the television news business, it's very rare, as you can imagine, but how do you feel you're paying money to this guy who represents your main adversary? In a show of support, which one are they going to stick with? So, in the world of Democratic information, PR firms, managerial firms, information agencies, they all share the dirt. They all know it. They know everything. Gavin Newsom's got more. Don't be surprised if you hear about, I'm just saying, don't be surprised. Not that these are true, not that these are valid. Don't be surprised if you hear about wild orgies, three-ways, illegitimate kids, drug use. Buying silence. Wait until you hear Dynasty meets the Manson family meets whatever it is. Do not be surprised. Do not be surprised. They're ready for this. Gavin knows this. You also have, remember, who is one of the greatest sources of information and intel? Kimberly Guilfoyle. They're waiting about her. They've debriefed her a million times. She was Gavin's ex-wife, or is his ex-wife. She is engaged to Don Jr. They have absolutely, positively, got to get my woo-zoo, got to turn it down. Best thing I ever bought. They've debriefed her a million times. They know everything. She's of no use. She might be able to hurt Don Jr. and then hurt Trump eventually, but not really. She's older now. This isn't her youth. She said some just terrible things. She had a trash mouth, low rent. They couldn't stand her, especially the Gettys who run the show there. Oh, they're still there. Look at Balthazar Getty and all these. They're still there. You haven't heard about them in a while. You've been hearing about Soros and those fellows. So let me recap this. They're ready to go. Remember what I told you. The two most important areas of investment today, greatest sources of income are blackmail and extortion, and human trafficking. It's all dirt. Dirt is everything. And during the time of the wild and woolly days, see, a lot of folks, when they're younger, have to be told, if you are planning a career, you've got to understand something very seriously now. I'll give you an example. I went to a high school in very good. I liked it a lot. It's a Jesuit high school in Tampa. And they always have these, alumni this and that. And this one's doing this and this one's going there. And they have these speakers come, and they're so goddamn boring. It's just, these alums. And I'm sorry. And I'm just telling you, they mean well, but they're boring. Somebody needs to get to these kids and go to everybody from as soon as the age of reason. Grab kids in a kind of a clockwork orange position like this, and you tell them, you get in their face and you say, let me tell you something. If you plan any career in the future, anything, politics, professional schools, anything of note, you better get rid of your phone now, and you better make sure nobody records you now. You're now 13 years old, 14 years old. You better learn this now. You understand that? We'll get to the sexual stuff later on. Because everybody everywhere has something where there were allegations of sexual abuse, inappropriate. Look at Fox News. Look at all of the people who made millions and millions and millions of dollars, who throw stuff away because they've got to be inappropriate to that producer right now. They can't say, excuse me, let me walk outside on 6th Avenue and say, hey, it's me. And then they don't want that. I don't know why they don't want that. Whatever. Gavin Newsom, when he was young, raised in this rarefied world of the Newsoms, the Pelosi's, the Alessandros, the Gettys, the Browns, the heir apparent, the Dauphin, the Scion, the heir apparent, the young man, the prince. Watch him go, watch him go. You feel bulletproof. I can do whatever I want. There are people, young men, who don't know how to handle, I'm going to use a nice word, women. This is something either you have it or you don't. You either put them into perspective or you don't. I have seen lives ruined. Lives, not by drugs, not by alcohol, but by women. I've seen men lose their minds because they fall in love and they broke up and they go crazy. They're too much. Women too, by the way. I told you before this a million times, women who especially have father issues. I'm sorry. But men lose their minds. So there you are. You're Gavin Newsom. You're in California, San Francisco, and you feel bulletproof. Anything you do, it happens in sports, happens in rock music, happens all the time. Freak. And this freak introduces you to this freak. And this freak, in the 80s, people used to think, might have been earlier, but during the Coke thing, you would be someplace and all of a sudden somebody pull out and you say, what are you doing? What are you doing? And they said, well, what do you mean? It's a foul. Get that out of here. You get up and you leave. Because in their world, their friends did it. It meant nothing to them. They always were holding. Hey, you holding? He's always holding. And they live in this world where they think, well, everybody does this. No, everybody doesn't do this. So Gavin Newsom gets to be 56-year-old. And then he turns around and goes, oh, my God. You've got this one. You knock up this one. You knock up that one. You got the clap from this one. You give herpes. I'm not saying he did, but I'm just saying this. You got 3 ways. And now with cameras, forget it. Forget it. Do you hear what I'm saying, dear friends? Caricature Clinic, new member. Wow, cool. You listening? Christian Janet says Ohio requires party confirmation of candidate 90 days before November election. August 7th is the deadline. Okay. Thank you, Christian. Wow, cool says J. Edgar Hoover was known for keeping dirt on everyone. Absolutely. It's not dirt. It's know where the bodies are buried. It's the oldest form of information and intel there is. So what I'm telling you is that Gavin Newsom may look good, may have his product and he's walking around. And the reason why he went to the French Laundry during this, the reason why they live in a world that has nobody tells them no. We have friends of the family who have 2 kids who have never been disciplined ever. I said one day, I hope you save money for lawyers' fees, because these 2, the boy in particular, is headed straight to the penitentiary. Guaranteed. I know it. I can see it. So stop right there. Stop. What am I saying? This is psychology. This is living. This is seeing. I know this time. Gavin Newsom thinks I can do whatever I want. And there are people I know who've said, and I want to say this to you, I want to be very, very careful. There are some people who said, I've never cheated on my wife. You know what? That's good for you. But also what you're saying is nobody has ever thrown it in my lap or in my face or dumped it in my lap. I don't walk out every day where I am absolutely, where women come at me every single day. Most men. You've never seen this before. So it's very easy. Sometimes it's very men say, well, of course you've never strayed because you look like a troll. But if you are somebody in show business, the music business, if you're, and you expect to somehow maintain a normal life when it's unnatural. Take that, throw it, have the morals of a 3-peckered goat, as we say in the South, of an alley cat. And so you've got that one. Okay, you got that? And who's got the dirt on that in particular? When they were married and young and really crazy? Kimberly Guilfoyle. She's got it. She was married to him. Now, are there films, tapes? Who knows? You don't think that somebody in the old days would say, you know what? During all that wild and woolly days in San Francisco, I never thought about recording it. Isn't that something? Me too. I know. We never. It's the first thing they think of. I have no idea why. Why people record stuff? I have no idea. Remember that. And if you don't like this, I'm sorry. That's reality. They've debriefed her a gazillion times. But here's the best part. Gavin knows it. She knows Gavin knows it. Gavin knows she knows Gavin knows it. Everybody's ready to go. And Don Jr., they got dirt on him. They got dirt on this one. They got dirt on everybody. They got dirt. So anybody who decides to be a little crazy, that's why the first thing you do when you run for office, listen to what I'm saying. Limited hangout. Listen to me. If they've ever listened to anything I've ever said before, and this goes for everything. Let's say you have a new relationship and you're worried. You tell this new relationship, you tell the world, hello, my name is Marcus Absent, and I'm running for mayor. Let me tell you something before you hear it. Better hear from me. You're going to hear that I did stuff that I was responsible for, I don't know, tribal vivisection, cannibalism, that I've got scores of families and women that I've left, and I'm a home wrecker and a drug user, and I'm gonna keep going. Now remember, some of this stuff is true, but keep going. I am a heroin addict. I'm not a heroin addict, but you are a drunk. Okay, say that. You don't have scores of women, but you have 1 or 2. That I've been arrested, that I'm a convict. I'm telling you right now, get ready. Get ready. Okay, now they're ready for this. And you just announced. Guess what happens? Somebody says, well, did you know that he was arrested for bad drugs? Oh, there we go. What'd I tell you? Wait a minute. That doesn't mean it's not true. That's a limited hangout. You tell them ahead of time what's coming, but you give them a little bit of it so that when they hear you give them the story so that anything they come up with is like pales by comparison because everybody was bracing for something worse and you only get this one. I'm telling you, it works. It's called a limited hangout. This is the oldest trick in the book. You let people know. You let people know. Raul says, can Kimberly be used among Trumps and be useful among the Trumps and Gavin? That's what I just said. Yes, of course. Absolutely. She's been debriefed years ago. Years ago. Not only that, if she's like anybody else, you'll probably say, and not only that, I got this picture here and I got this. And oh, Raul, absolutely, my friend. Thank you. Absolutely. And this isn't anything new. Please, if this shocks you, you don't know how things work. You don't know how things work. I'm sorry to say that, but okay. So understand that's coming up. It's happening as we speak. It's already been done. Okay, so we have that. Now, the dirt on Kamala. We're not talking sexual. Here's the dirt that people really have to realize and recognize. And by the way, hope you got time to stick with me this morning because I got a lot to tell you. And you're not going to be hearing this on Sunday morning with Martha Raditz or whatever her name is. Nobody's going to talk about this. Black people. The most overused, overexploited people by Black people. Donna Brazil, Clyburn, Maxine Waters, go down the list. Just the usual suspect. Not really Al Sharpton, not Joy Reid, but people like specifically Jeffries, the Democratic leader. Those folks are claiming to be, and this is important. Please forgive me. If ever we spend time together, I'm going to drive you crazy because I'm always researching everything. I want to know the year, the month, how many people died, what was their name. I don't sit back like a lot of people and say, I wonder what that word means. I've never heard that word. Have you heard that word? No, I'm all over the place. So I'm always constantly getting the right name and this. But Hakeem Jeffries and others are going to sit back and they say, we represent the Black Caucus. No, you don't. You will never understand how 14% of the population, right now there are technically more Latino voters than Black, but whatever. And there are folks, my friends, who are involved in the real meat and potatoes, bread and butter, actual Black voters have nothing to do with, they don't know who Clyburn is. I don't care who this is. Hakeem Jeffries, no. And the role of Black women in particular, nobody wants to talk about Black demographics. Nobody wants to talk about this. But if you hear what people say, what do you often hear? We have to increase the role of the Black father in Black families. How many times have you heard this? We have to introduce and reinvigorate and reformulate, re-energize the role of the Black man, the father in right. How many times have you heard this? Everybody says this. Bill Cosby. They always say this. You've got to hear this thing constantly, right? Okay, good. What's that another way of saying? That a critical aspect and a critical person, a critical part, if you will, of the Black experience, the Black demographic, is a matricentric contingent. where who is more important? Who is more critical? Women. Don't take my word for it. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to what a lot of black leaders say. Listen to what they say. They're about black women. We need black men, black men, black. Okay, fine. I'm listening. I'm going to be one of the few white dudes listening to what you're saying. But what I'm learning from that is that you're telling me who's in charge. And what you're telling me is that if I really want to get to the bottom of stuff, I should pay attention to black women. And if you really want to get in charge of people who are involved in black politics, you better get in charge of black women. So this is a joke. If you think, how do I say this? This is a joke. If you think that somehow you're going to watch Joy Reid and get a bead on what's going on, doesn't work like that. Okay. So let's go to the next thing. All right. How do you think black women deal with, and what do they think of when they think of and review Kamala Harris? Who is Kamala Harris? Who is she? What does she stand for? Is she a black woman? Well, her mother was Indian and her father was born in Jamaica. And he, of course, there's African, obviously, but she was raised pretty much in Canada. And her story is she has as much to do with the black experience in the United States as I do. In fact, I may have more because I was here more. At least I was here. She's in Canada. And with all due respect to my Canadian friends and my Canucks or whatever the hell you call yourself this week, that dog don't hunt, as we say. So let me ask you again. How do you think they're going to connect with the black folks? How do you think? You want to do polling? They've done polling. Believe me when I tell you they've done polling. So all of the stuff you hear about, all this nonsense about the black, we've got to keep her on, is balderdash. Absolute 100% unmitigated balderdash. This is what they say on Newsmax or Fox or whatever. This is the tripe that they say. They look at black folks as though these people, black voters, work in some kind of homogenized, homogeneous group. No. So the question is, let's poll. How do people see Kamala? Phony. Kamala all of a sudden is soul sister number one. Hey, Juneteenth, there she is. She's dancing. Oh, she's dancing. Really? Let me give you another example about black folks. Most people don't get. During, what was it, Prop 8 up in California, there was this deal that said it was gay marriage on the agenda or on the ballot. And people said, oh, obviously black folks are going to obviously see it our way because, well, in 1967, if it wasn't for the case of Loving against Virginia, that overturned anti-miscegenation laws, they could not vote and they could. California black voters said, excuse me, are you trying to equate being black with being gay? What? Many of them came out and said things like gay marriage is a flat out perversion. We are Christians. The black church is critical in our neighborhoods and our families, and older women and women who represented such a critical part of this said, excuse me. Now we're not gonna ask for any kind of Jim Crow reversal where gay people are going to be subjugated, but are we in favor of gay marriage? They said, hell no, because they misread the room again. Because there's this connection. People say like, well, obviously Kamala Harris is black. That's not what they say. That's not, when I say they, it's too diffuse. Some moron said, Kamala Harris is black. Excuse me. If you want to get a black woman, damn it, get a black woman from this country. I want a picture of their father and their grandmother. When I would go, yep, that's it. All right. That's a black family. If you're going to do it, do it. So don't give me this business about what they're trying to do is, oh no, we can't jump over Kamala because this is Donna Brazil saying this, the black voter will retaliate. No, they won't. There's no connection to her. Excuse me. You don't own them. You don't own. Donna Brazile, Clyburn, they live in a world. Donna Brazile, pay me, pay me, pay me. You talk about money. Let me tell you something. From the days of Al Sharpton, but before that, Jesse Jackson. Oh, in the music business, you better pay me. They made the Lucchese family look like chumps when it comes out to buying protection. You don't want to have any problem, do you? All right. Well, these lyrics, you don't hire enough black sound engineers. That would be a real shame if somehow we boycott. How much do you want? It's a protection racket. These guys are so mobbed up. They're natural gangsters. Absolutely. And they are perpetuating this myth that Donna Brazile represents the black community. First of all, there is no represents community. Nobody. Try that with the Italians, the Armenians, the Turks, anybody. Chinese. Who represents the Chinese community? Nobody. It's a myth. They don't exist anymore. It's in fact, if you tried to pay protection or extort, if you went to New York and you said, hey, listen, by the way, you better pay me or else, you have this restaurant here and those cars that park outside, they could be damaged. And if the word gets out that cars are, vandalized, you'll lose business. What you'll be told is, and if one of my cars is damaged, I'll know it came from you and I'll get you. It doesn't work. Wait a minute, you're not supposed to. No, I'm threatening you. Get out of here. They're living in the past. They live in a world that doesn't exist anymore. I don't know what happened. Donna Brazile's a fraud. She made some deal with ABC or wherever the hell she is. And Harold Ford Jr. Harold Ford Jr., I want you to take a wet fart and turn it down to the point where it's almost there. This guy, somebody said, we need a black guy. Got Harold Ford. They look at black people as being fungible. Got a black guy? It's the old quota thing. It's DEI in theory. Need a black guy. How about somebody interesting? I got a ton of them for you. Everybody does. Where do you get this from? Do you even care who the black person is? No, they don't. Because they live in this world from like their Jim Crow. So what the moral of the story is, they're going to come after her like you can't believe. And you know where it's going to come from? Gavin Newsom. And you know who okays it? Biden. And you know who else is going to give him it? Biden's got dirt on her. They know more. She has no idea. She's so stupid that they're pushing her, and nobody has ever come to her and said, Kamala, come here. Can I talk to you for a minute? Yeah. Do you know who you're up against? Yeah. You might want to bow out of this thing. They're trying to promote you, and they're going to go after your ego. And if that doesn't get you, here's another one for you. You ready for this? You know what we don't talk about in this country? We don't talk about here. Israel. We don't talk about it. Nope. We don't talk about it. It just never ceases. It never ceases to happen. We just don't do it. But let me also tell you something, Kamala, but a few things. All right. We know all about what you said. What did you say about Israel and Palestinian and this and that? Okay. Well, your husband, Doug Emhoff, the first dude or whatever it is, he's a Brooklyn Jew. And you are posing a bit of a problem here. Now, trust me when I tell you this. We've been laying low on you. Nobody's really come after you. But when that anti-Semite thing is labeled or you're hit with this, especially when your boss, Joe Biden, has been basically just giving, not gives him a blank check, but they just said, here, you just take whatever you need. Baby, we'll just do it up to a point. Now, by the way, Anthony Blinken, notice he's out of the picture. Shh. People are out. It's like you're watching a play, and all of a sudden, a character will disappear, and nobody knows it. I love to do an experiment where I would have a play, Like all of a sudden, let's say The Odd Couple, and Felix just disappears. Would the audience say, where'd he go? No. Americans don't even realize this. So let me say this again, Kamala. In addition to all the other stuff, believe me, you now have incurred the wrath of Israel. I don't want to bring up Israeli lobby. I'm not saying that. But your husband and Biden don't appreciate what you're doing. So that, and by the way, they're also the source of oppositional research. Don't even think that doesn't happen. So that's it. She's out of the way. Now, you got this so far? Biden says, I'm sticking. Gavin says, I'm with you, Joe, but I'm not. Joe says, I know you're a rat bastard, but you're my rat bastard. Better you than anybody else. And as far as Kamala, she's the worst because she's just stupid. It's not that she's unfaithful or she's a rat. She's just plain old stupid. Like you cannot believe. Now I don't want to bore you with this, but I'm going to tell you something. And I'm going to read this to you, and I'm going to give you an idea of what's going to happen next, and you will understand immediately. Keep in mind, I say this one more time, we are 121 days until the election. Okay? You got that? Now listen to this. I'm just going to read this one time to make you go through this, and you'll see at the end what I am saying. Section 4, Article 25th Amendment, Section 4. Whenever the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting president. Thereafter, when the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that no inability exists, he shall resume the powers and duties of his office unless the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may by law provide transmit within 4 days to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Thereupon, Congress shall decide the issue, assembling within 48 hours for that purposes, if not in session. If the Congress within 21 days after receipt of the latter written declaration, or if the Congress is not in session within 21 days after Congress is required to assemble, determines by 2/3 vote of both houses that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of the office, the vice president shall continue to discharge the same as acting president. Otherwise, the president shall resume powers and duties of office. Now, why did I read that to you? You want to go through that? You want to go through all that? Can you imagine what would happen? The news coverage, the cable coverage, the local coverage. You would have, instead of, I don't know, the usual folks, Karl Rove with his magic slate. Then you get Professor Dick Gazinia from Rutgers, who's a political science expert. He comes and he talks about it. And you don't have time to roll it out. And the Washington Post and the New York Times. And people are saying, what is it? And then you got to assemble the Senate. And then we have Biden comes back. And then what does this mean? Is it a declaration? Does he have a trial? Have we ever done this before? No. There's not enough time. It's 121 days. It's not going to happen. And Biden says, I'm not going to leave. And you might say to yourself, you know what? Joe, you better do this because they've got dirt on you. I don't care what they do. My son is a lost cause. I recognize that fact. And how do you know I haven't already pardoned him so far? And how do you know I haven't pardoned him? How do you know in my safe there's already a pardon? How do you know that I have not given him a pardon, that I have not squared away? And if somebody says, hey, Joe, you lied, doesn't matter. I'm out of here. And that only works for federal charges, not state. What happens if Joe says he goes back on his word when he says, I'm not going to pardon my son. And he does. What are you going to do? What? Bring him back and then impeach him? Doesn't matter. He's out of his tree. So what's the answer? Impeachment. Impeachment. This is what they're talking about now. Because the very fact that Joe Biden has not said heretofore, look, I'm not going to put my party through this. You don't want me? I'm out of here. I'm going to do the right thing. He's not doing that. Joe's not saying that. Joe says, I'm going to fight. And every time he fights, every time he speaks, it's worse than anything anybody imagined. So now we have impeachment. Now, when you talk to most people about impeachment, they always think about it as though that's removal. And you know, when I know impeachment merely means this is just the charging document. It doesn't mean that he's removal. You're not removed just because you're impeached. You're removed upon conviction. That's the story. Okay? You understand this? Our good friend said TQC, whatever it says, Kamala loves Venn diagrams. Who is Venn, by the way? And why is he diagrammatic? Thank you for that, my friend. Now, what happens next? Well, here's what we do. They've got to green light this and speed through. Democrats say, we got to impeach him. Excuse me, what was that? We've got to impeach Biden. You're a Democrat. I know. Wait. We're the Republicans. We wanted to impeach him before, and you said no. Yeah, I know. But now you want us to impeach him, really to remove him. Yes. You want us to do this? Yes. But we don't want him to leave. We're slaughtering him in the polls. Why would we want to remove him? Look. We can impeach him in the House, fine. We're going to get the majority, but that doesn't mean we need your agreement. What was that again? We need your help to convict him in the Senate. We need 2/3 of the votes in the Senate to do this expedited thing. You know, can you get a trial going? How with the trial? We're going to green light it. We're going to go to him and we're going to say, you got the votes. We're not going to put you through this. Well, what's in it for us? What do you mean? We're the Republicans. Why should we want to remove the guy who is so beaten? It's like, why would I quit in the 10th round when I'm looking at him and saying, I can he's going to fall over. I'm going to win. Why would I move to have him replaced? How about if we make a deal with you? What was that? How about if we make a deal with you? What do you mean make a deal with me? How about, look, if we can get your vote for the conviction, so the wheeling and dealing is going on like you cannot believe. I have not seen anything like this. This is incredible. June 27th. Let me say this again to you. June 27th. Everything changed. Now, the next point. You never realized how bad the Democratic Party was until it's put to a stress test. And this is a stress test. Do you hear me? Good. You never knew how bad it was until you see what's happening now. You never, ever knew. Let me give you an example of something. Hear me out. If I said to you, what is the Republican Party? Just help me out with this. You're meeting somebody from another planet. They have no idea what you're talking about. They have no idea this Republican Party. Who are these people? What does this mean? I mean, are they okay? Should I sit down with them? You go to a party and you say, listen, can you do me a favor here? Can you put me with some, I don't know these people. I want to sit at this, let's say this wedding. Can you put me with the right people? Well, we have some conservatives over there. Whatever. Or some Democrats over there. I'll go with the conservatives. Now you walk at the table and let's say there's 20 people around the table. It's a big table. And who are they? Well, they can identify themselves as conservatives. They could call themselves Christian conservatives. They can call themselves Republicans. Then you get into, well, what kind of Republicans are they? Well, are they Steve Bannon Republicans? That's a weird kind of, that's kind of like a new ninja Republican sort of quasi-combative, militaristic. I don't want to say, but and I don't mean this, but the Alex Jones, J6, Gadsden flag, and I'm not saying J6, but you know the ones who have the flag, the Tree of Liberty, and they believe in the 1776 and, that kind of stuff. By the way, J6 was a trespass and was a waste of time. So I don't use the term pejoratively. I use terms for shortcuts. They believe that they're very Patrick Henry tri-cornered hat, this. Okay, fine. Then you might get the Larry Kudlow Republican or the Sean Hannity. Milquetoast. Sort of milquetoast. Just kind of, taxes. Have Art Laffer on. Okay. Are they Republicans? I guess they're Republicans. They'll do. I can speak with them. But then during the course, it gets even more complicated. Then we get into the folks that years ago came along, and guess what? There were these folks that started to fill out the curve, so to speak. It was interesting. TQ says, yeah, loves Vens. B, Waku, our Aussie friend, says, don't interrupt your enemy. Oh, yes. Don't interrupt your enemy when they're doing a wonderful job killing themselves. But let's go back a little bit. Then you've got the Second Amendment Republicans, and you've got the others. You've got the Philly Republicans, which of course are the super sticker Republicans. Thank you. And then you've got the folks who are the constitutionalists, and then you have the libertarians. Libertarians are, for all practical purposes, Republicans. Then you've got the kind of Grover Norquist tax Republicans, Then you got the Reagan Republicans. Then you've got the Paleo Republicans like Pat Buchanan and William F. Buckley. Then you've got the neocons who really are lapsed Trotskyites. They're actually lefties. Do you hear this very complicated admixture of people who are and if you look at the Southern strategy, you also pulled in Dixiecrats and others, not necessarily racist. Okay, that's at that table. But out of all those people, I can find something I agree with. Now, let's go to the Democratic table. Who are they? Remember the analogy I told you before, the little boy building blocks? Each block is a different shape, a different weight, a different size, a different dimension. Who are the Democrats today? Well, you've got this first group, TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, anybody but Trump group. That's it. That's who they are. That's who they are. That's what they'll be. That's what they'll always be. They don't stand for anything other than the fact that they hate Trump. Again, it's like going to a restaurant and the sign says, Joe's, we don't serve Italian food. Well, thank you. What do you serve? I don't know, but we don't serve Italian food. We hate Italian food. We hate Italian food. That's this particular version. Curtis says, and I love anytime I hear this, bit off topic, my favorite, but it seems they're planning to illegally steal the election by what happened in Wisconsin by reinstalling ballot drop boxes. Worried. Should be. Let's see what these stupid bastards do. The Supreme Court overruled the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Is it too big to rig? Are the numbers so inordinate that any attempt to rig it will blatantly indicate the fact that it was stolen? We will see with this. But let's go back to the Democrats. TDS. What about the next group? Abortion. Okay, abortion. What do you feel? I'm abortion. Okay, any other issues? Climate change, abortion. Okay. What about you? I'm just I don't know what I got pink hair, I got this. Okay, fine. You're in. And then pretty soon it's starting to wobble already. Normally it takes about 10 or so blocks on the Republican side to even get a wobble because they're basically fundamentally the same but different, if that makes any sense. Democrats don't have any core beliefs. Nothing. Well, who are you? I'm a Democrat. Oh, what's your name? I'm AOC. AOC? Yeah, we're actually Bernie acolytes. Bernie was our guy. Oh, sorry what happened to Bernie. Yeah, they screwed us on Bernie. They sure did. That's pretty bad, isn't it? It sure was. Wow. So who are you? I don't know. But they screwed us with Hillary and Bernie. And now we've got Joe Biden, who hasn't really done much of anything. And by the way, Joe Biden has turned his back on the real core lefty Democrat. They are absolutely positively against war. They are anti-war. He turned their back on Ukraine, and now he is basically funding Israel, and that does not set with these people. While Cool said, Aussie here, Stalin, it's not who counts, it's not the votes that count, but who counts the votes. That is one of those, whether he said that or not, it's always attributed to him. Don't forget what Moria, was it Moria? No. Not Moria. His main guy, I forgot his name. Anyway, he said, show me the man and I'll show you the crime. It was his main interrogator, what was this? He's going to drive me crazy. Stalin. The man, his name was, Beria. I knew it was sounded, I said Moria, Beria. Did Stalin say it's not who votes? Joseph Stalin, it's not it's not who votes that counts. No, listen to this. PolitiFact, if this means anything. No, it says Joseph Stalin didn't say this statement about election. Joseph Stalin was a dictator. This is what PolitiFact says. If you can believe whatever they say to an extent, this is what they say. At least they address this. Joseph Stalin was a dictator who ruled the Soviet Union for a quarter of a century. By the way, Stalin was the longest rolling dictator. 30 years. Mao didn't do it. Hitler was there for like a week compared to this guy. Stalin was it. The quote attributed to Stalin on Facebook says, it is enough that the people know there was an election. The people who cast the votes decide nothing. The people who count the votes decide everything. The post was flagged as part of Facebook's efforts to combat false news and misinformation on its news feed. This is what I'm reading. Plenty of other places cite Stalin as a person who said this, but we can't find any credible original sources explaining the attribution. So we reached out to the Stalin Digital Archive, an electronic database of documents and images that resulted from a collaboration between the Russian State Archive of Social and Political History and Yale University Press. A search of the archive didn't find any matching quotes. The archive support staff told PolitiFact in an email, but because most of the archive's contents are images, it's possible that the quote eluded the query. Next, we reached out to some members of the archive's editorial board for insight. J. Archgetty, a history professor at UCLA, told us he doesn't think Stalin said this. I'm not aware of any original source for this. And in my extensive archival research in Stalin's personal archive, I found nothing like this. James Harris, a senior lecturer in modern history at the University of Leeds, agreed by saying almost certainly apocryphal. And it goes on and on and on and on with people saying, we don't know where this came from. Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Williamson is a new member. Hello, everybody. Thank you. Welcome aboard, Mary. Have a seat. Grab some crumb cake. It's one of those things that you love to say, and this goes back to the whole informational process, how people think, how ideas are exchanged. Richard Dawkins came up with the notion of the meme, which is short for memetics, where ideas and thoughts are transmitted as chromosomes, almost as digital quanta of information and fact. How about people who use the word factoid as a synonym for a fact? A factoid is something that's apocryphal. So it's one of those things where I guarantee you most of the time people swear that things happen. How about movie quotes? Play it again, Sam, never said it. Judy, Judy, Judy. Cary Grant, never said it. Christian Jenner says, Sandman Hussein said it also. I think, Christian, and thank you, by the way, I think anybody who ever said, hey, listen, go steal them votes from me, LBJ, famous box number 40, whatever his name, he had in his office the famous box, I think against Coke, Stevenson. They had the names like in the same either pen or it was so obviously stolen. This is LBJ. LBJ probably said, I want you to go out and steal the votes because when they count the votes, they're going to count these fake ones in addition to the others, which is by virtue of reality, a version of what people think Stalin said. So it's not exactly a unique idea. B. Waku said, no ID ballots, mail-in, and Dominion scare me muchly. Of course they should. Not only that, throw into Newsmax and Fox News, the two theoretical bastions of conservative cable news voice. They're not saying anything because they're scared out of their minds because of the lawsuits. So they're not going to say anything. So that's almost like an invitation for somebody to come along and steal the vote. But we'll get to that later. We'll get to the votes later. Let's recap this. Joe Biden says, I'm not leaving. He says he's not leaving. 121 days. Now, people say, well, does he mean it? Why would the Republican Party, why would the Democrats who want Joe to step down, why would they allow him to say something that wasn't true, that countermanded or countered their message? So they must be, as we say in West Tampa, empingado, PO'd over that. So then you have Gavin Newsom. He's out there, but he knows and Joe knows. Gavin says to Joe, I want this job. I know. I'm really basically doing this about me, right? Yeah, okay. And Joe said, better you than that other one. Here's Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris says, I really don't want this, but I love the attention. Kamala, do you know what you're doing? No. Do you know what they're going to do to you? No. And we're not talking that Willie Brown stuff. That's ridiculous. For anybody to think that somebody's past sexual peccadillos in this disgusting world that we live in is going to make any difference is ridiculous. No, that's not it. Remember what I said. How does your husband feel about you and your position on Israel? How does a Brooklyn-born Jew, an American Jew, who I would imagine, I'm presupposing, maybe I'm going out on a limb here, but I think most probably, like many Jews in this country, support Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. How does your particular ideology work? And if you are elected president, what are you going to do? Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Rowan joins us. Tommy, welcome aboard, my friend. Have a seat. Grab some crumb cake. Have a seat there. You see where we're going with this? It gets more complicated than you can imagine. We're not even done yet with this. Then they're going to say, is he forcing us to an impeachment? Yeah. Are you kidding me? And the Democrats are going to say, the Republicans they're going to have so much fun. Wait a minute. These people who didn't want us to impeach Biden before are now asking us for help in impeaching and convicting and removing Biden now? And when all is said and done, when everything is finished, the Democratic Party may never recover from this. They ate their own. They also this mythical black caucus, this black. You don't speak for anybody, and black Americans. Wait till you see how many vote for Trump. It's going to blow your mind. And finally, the emperor has no clothes, and they're going to say, Joy Reid and all you folks who dared speak on behalf, spoke on behalf of black folks. What are you doing? Where did you come up with this hubristic notion that you were given the ability to speak on behalf of a significant, no. These are the greatest days. And I promise you, when you read the headlines, I don't care if it's Breitbart or Fox News or the New York Post or CNN, you don't even get any cellular level. As far as Trump's vice president, I know people love this. I still think Ben Carson, as I have said, by the way, I didn't want to pull a Dershowitz on you. Alan Dershowitz predicted everything. And Dershowitz teaches us a good lesson. If ever you were to appear anywhere, say, well, as I predicted, who's going to go back and disprove? Did you predict? Oh, I did predict. I don't remember you saying this. Well, I didn't say it to you. Well, I didn't say it on Twitter. I didn't say it, but I told my friend Dave, I predicted this. And it's up to me to determine what the parameters of prediction are. Is it to one person, 2, 10? I don't know. So always say, as I predicted. There's no way around it. Well, okay, I guess. Well, as I promised you. Now you promised me? Well, as I said, take it to the bank. Oh, now it's take it to the bank. When did you say take it to the bank? Well, I did. You may not have it on any of your files, but I did this. Because I know everything. I'm a genius. But I have always liked Ben Carson. And I'm not saying Ben Carson's perfect. And the race part, I don't even care about that. Not just me personally. I don't think that matters in the scheme of things. I think Ben Carson, keep his mouth shut. He loves President Trump. He's a great supporter, a great kind of a chiral opposite, kind of a supplement. He's smart as a whip. Brain surgeon? I think nobody doesn't like him. You notice that? You may not like. There are very few people you can say, it's like nobody doesn't like Sarah Lee. Nobody doesn't like Ben Carson. Ben Carson doesn't bother anybody. You can say things about other prominent black, Clarence Thomas. Maybe it's because of the position where he takes some pretty decisive roles, but Ben Carson will be perfect. Nobody would say, Ben Carson, that race. This is the reaction. Ben Carson. Okay. That's the best one there is. You know who was the greatest politician in terms of being secure in my life? Governor George Pataki. Governor Pataki in New York. You know what people say with Pataki? I said, okay. That's the greatest thing in the world. Not no hits, no runs, no errors. Just that's fine. But we'll see about that. Vice president, nobody cares about vice president. It's interesting for the political junkie, but nobody else. What's going to be interesting is to watch. And this is the most important. This is the most important thing to remember. Look what is happening to the Democratic Party. Think 10, 15, 25-year increments. Don't think just this election. What is going to happen to the Democratic Party? Think of these divisive, horrible. Think within how the issue of Israel. Look, nobody talks about Israel. I'm telling you, in this country, you never hear other than, boy, look at those crazy people were protesting. Look at those anti-Semites. That's as much as it gets. That's it. Remember, June 27th, 9/11, October the 7th, 7/11 also in the UK. December the 7th, June 27th. That's when the Republican Party imploded. The Democratic Party imploded. That's when the debate happened and everything that we knew. And I sound like a Dershowitz. I'm not trying to be this, but if you remember, and I can show you, I've heard about Gavin Newsom forever, that they were lining him up. They were looking at media buys. They were looking at websites he purchased. They were looking at the scuttlebutt, the organizational shifts, blocking time off of his schedule. Everybody who cared to notice was on this. But again, when you're a part of this corrupt and vile, apparatchik, communist, satanic, I use every word you love. These commies, a bunch of Satanists. They're Luciferian, commie, Marxist, treason. You love treason too. Treason. Nobody's ever been, there's no treason. Treason's the worst crime in the world. Espionage is better, other things. But treason is, you have a witness. How do you prove? But people love it. It's treason. Okay, fine, whatever you want. And it's Satan. Okay. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. Sometimes there are things that just happen regarding events. And let me give you an analogy. In 1969, there was Woodstock. Did you ever hear this story? Where Woodstock came. Hey, let's have a concert. Okay. Where do you want to have it? Well, we got to get a permit. You want to have it upstate? Yeah. It wasn't in Woodstock. It was in Bethel. And eventually they end up at Sam Yasgur's farm. And Sam says, well, that's okay. It's a dairy farm. Okay. Let these kids come out and it'll be a weekend thing. You know, there was Watkins Glen festival. And the people who ran it forgot one thing. You have humans involved. And if you've ever had a party, did you ever have a party in high school where you find out, I remember one time, somebody's parents were out of town, and I walked into this party, and they were trashing this place, and I said, let's get out of here. I mean, I just saw arrests and cops coming. It was so sad. I thought, I don't know why they're doing this. But the parents and once it spread, the cars, I said, they're going to bust this place. And I was a kid. I said, I am not going to be a part of this. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to ruin my future because I'm I'm a burglar. Nobody really gave me authority to be. Anyway, we got to get out of here. That was Woodstock. Next thing you know, there was no ability. It was 500,000 people, and it turned into the biggest event, but a complete and total mess with no toilets and no this. Why? Because they didn't plan. I cannot tell you how many times in the course of human events things aren't planned by the biggest geniuses in the world. I can tell you in the course of talk radio, some idiot program director says, I'm going to team you up with this one. And you hate this person. And they take a great show. But because some idiot program director said, I'm going to treat humans as though they're fungible. Instead of having one host, I'm going to have two. And with two hosts, it's going to be twice as good. As opposed to the fact, it's like arranged marriages. How did this happen? Because people are stupid. Why didn't the president of the radio station stop this? I don't know. Why didn't I don't know. Why do people, New Coke, you probably don't remember this. New Coke was, let's take Coca-Cola and let's change the taste. What? Remember Pepsi Clear? Pepsi, they say it, but it was clear. You could see like right through whatever the caramelization, they got rid of it. Why? Because some jerk said, let me think this. I want to think this. I want to think this. I want to change something. I used to work at a radio station. It was Heritage, called WABC Radio. Now it's, I don't even know what it is now. It's like short wave or something. But at the time, it was a monster. All Beatles C. Oh my God. During the 60s, the name was Heritage. And they would say 77 WABC when they had jingle. 77. 77. You went through your life hearing this. 77. 77. In the middle of the night, in dreams. 77. One day, some genius woke up. I don't know how many years later, and said, you know what? I just noticed something. When you look at the digital radio, it says 770. It's not 77. It's 770. Okay, well, we're going to change that. Better yet, I'm going to change it so I can say I was the one who changed it. I changed it. Wag the dog. That's me. I did it. But it's stupid. Well, maybe stupid, but I changed it. So they took the styrofoam, the inside the studio, there was the logo. And I said, better not throw it away. You're going to be going back to that. And they laughed. No, they changed the stationery and they did all that. I said, get ready. Watch what happens. So we're sitting around one day talking about this. And I raised my hand up, being the way I am. And I said, excuse me, I have a question. This station that is really 770. Are you going to put a big billboard campaign out, newspaper? No. So you're telling the world that we're really 770? No. So let me get this straight. So the people who've already found it, miraculously, you're only going to tell them. You're going to say, hey, by the way, don't tell anybody. But this station you think you're listening to is not 77. It's 770. I said, why don't you call it 43? It doesn't matter because they've already found it. Now, nobody understood guess what? Sure enough, about, I don't know, a period of time, it went right back. Because some idiot decided, I'm going to change it. And nobody stopped him. Nobody said, you're not going to do this. We had a thing, ready for this? In New York, it's called 10-10 wins. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. Everybody knows it. Did you ever see Goodfellas? When Henry's in the shower, ding, 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 ding. 10-10 wins. Big Lufthansa hide. Remember that where he said, the whole Jimmy. Remember that? Ding, 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 ding. I heard from a friend of mine who worked at 10-10 that somebody wanted to change that because they don't use teletypes anymore. But it wasn't a teletype. It was like a marimba or something, or a xylophone. Right? Ding, 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 ding. Some idiot said, I'm going to change the sound that is forever associated with this heritage station that got numbered. I mean, still, I don't know. My God. Their cume was just, whew. Every cabbie, this is a commuter. In the morning and afternoon, forget it. Time spent listening is a different story. They went to sample. Top of the hour. News on the 10s, traffic on the 10s, 10-10 win. Ding, 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 ding. It was big. But no, somebody said, no, let's change it. Coke, let's change the taste. Let's make it 770. And let's put Kamala in because she's an idiot. I know, but it's my idea. Okay. You're going to make a mistake? Well, maybe I will. Sure enough, now you're stuck with this idiot who is an idiot. And another thing they didn't figure out. You don't understand how this works. There is this thing called the internet. And things happen on the internet that are really weird. Let me ask you something. If I said to you the following, do you know what I'm talking about? The Hawk Tuah girl. Do you know who that is? Yes or no? Just give me a 1 for yes, 2 for no. Just Hawk Tuah. I can spell it. It's phonetic. We're not really sure how you spell that, but you got the point. Is anybody, have you heard? Do you know who this is? 1 for yes, 2 or no. Georgia, Texas says very good. Do you or do you not? Yes or no? Just yes or no. Lisa knows. Yep, very good. Boru, yes, good. That's all. You don't have to like it. Yep. Greg says 22. He really doesn't know how to do it. You've heard of it? Good. Okay. Without going into it, and you can research it all you want. The moment that something goes viral in this country, you can do one of two things. You can be on the bandwagon or not. You can recognize how it works or not. You can say, that's stupid, I don't like TikTok, or not. You can say, that's ridiculous, missing the point altogether. Social media, TikTok, Instagram, but TikTok more than you realize affects everything. And there's a group of people out there that I want to get. And I go to the Republican Party and I say, I want to do one of two things. I'm your Donald Segretti. I'm your Roger Stone to an extent. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do one of two things. One, I'm going to either get you new votes, Republicans, votes that you wouldn't have had before, which makes sense. Why are you paying me to bring you votes or to vote for you? Or I'm going to turn votes off. I'm going to have people not vote for Democrats. So I can either bring you new votes or turn off people who would vote Democratic. Which one do you want? They may have the same effect, depending upon is it a toss-up state or whatever it is. Okay, fine. And this is the thing I want to say. Hey, kids. Hey, people. Hey, Instagrammers. Biden is stupid and Kamala Harris is stupider, if that's a term. You got that? Hey, kids. Got it? I just told 20, 30, 40 million people. Oh, that's it. One ad. How do I do this? I have a series of little vignettes I'm putting together of Kamala Harris. We know every trick there is. We know every YouTube. We're going to use shorts. We're going to do reels. We're going to do this. We're going to have the guy with the glasses. We're going to have this. We're going to have we used to have the dog. We used to have Pepe the frog. Nobody uses Pepe anymore. But I'm going to do whatever it is. I'm going to get some YouTube or some Twitter, TikTok folks, and I'm going to make them do this. And I promise you. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to report, because I own these people, that this is going viral. But it's not viral. Excuse me. I'm going to go and tell people that it's viral. And it will become viral. And overnight, from this one little ad, how much did it cost to promote it? How much did that cost you for me to do one? And I'll do a series of them, maybe 10, 20. I don't want to do too many where it kind of dilutes it. But let's just say I do 5. 5 and I separate them over a period of time. What did that cost for production? $100? Nothing. I don't need studio time. I don't need limousines. I don't need, no, I don't have labor costs or unions. No, 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 no. I just do this. And all of a sudden, that ad from Hawktuya to Kamala Harris saying something stupid, people laughing hysterically, I can make it overnight. And I talk to older folks, people in my generation, and they say, that's stupid. I'm saying, you don't get it, do you? You don't get it. You don't get it. I get it. It's a different time. And once you are forever labeled, that's it. It's done. And then it becomes more and more and more and more. And then people start to do it on their own. They go, oh, this is great. And then other memers and folks say, well, I'm going to take this and I'm going to do my own Kamala, because if that's gaining traction, I'm going to do it. Next thing you know, it's out of control. It's a viral pandemic. It's not just viral. It is an absolute social media maelstrom, a wave, a tsunami. And Larry Kudlow won't get it. Sean Hannity won't get it. They don't get it. They think that you watching Larry, with all due respect, Larry Kudlow's a good man. But who was Larry? Art Laffer. I mean, come on, stop it. And now, thanks to June 27th, debates have been changed forever. Now we don't even listen to what you're saying. You know what debate's good? When people who don't even speak English see the guy who says, oh, God. Even they know it's bad. You don't have to speak English to know how bad he did. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just remind you of that. That's all. That's all. And also, let me say to you, incredibly wonderful people, to Tom Rowan, bless your heart, to B. Wakul, to Mary Williamson, our new member, to Mr. Wakul. Wakul's an Aussie, and he knows more than most Americans here. To Curtis Christian Janice, Philly, thank you. To TQCX9, what the hell kind of name is that? It's your name, and I love it. That's all I care about. Raul Rodriguez, thank you. Christopher, this is Wakul, you're a maniac. And Caricature Clinic. I like that so much. I like that Caricature Clinic. So anyway, keep that in mind. Now, another one for you. Let me keep you in mind of this, or remind you of this. This is brutal. First and foremost, let me remind you of something. October 26th. October the 26th here in New York City. 10 days before the election. I'm going to be taking the stage. Can you imagine what that's going to be? Do you have any earthly idea of what that's going to be like? 10 days before the election. Tickets are available. I want to see you and all you wacky waxters. Lizzie Solak was there. They're still talking about it. I mean, it was wild. Okay. Next, I want you to listen to me very carefully. My beloved, this is Elle, has a YouTube channel, Lynn's Warriors. The latest one she put up, the latest story that I don't think people are. She basically said, guess what? Schools are over. And I'm not being an Alice Cooper. They're going to go full remote. Schools. They're destroying schools. It's happening in New York City. You can't believe what they're doing to children. Baby farms. Have you heard about that? I'm not making this up. Please follow her. Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Lynn's Warriors on Twitter. And finally, and I don't want to do this, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are subscribed because for some reason, I hear sometimes we are unsubscribed. My friends, we have been talking this morning an hour and a half. You and me, an hour and a half. And I want you to take what I'm saying. And I want you to say, huh. And if I can make you just say, huh, that's interesting. That's it. I want to inspire in you a new way of looking at this thing. Nothing apodictic, nothing ham-fisted, ham-handed, nothing, manicky and good about. I'm telling you the way it is. This is politics. It's just, this is the way it is. It's like watching, bacteria. It's like watching anything else. Weston knows. Weston says, the channel I need on an easy Sunday morning. Indeed, because I'm sleazy. Sleazy as Sunday morning. All right, my friends. Well, thank you, dear friends. On behalf of a grateful nation, I say to you, thank you not for what you do, but for what you appear to do. And I mean that. I one time gave that as a valedictory, and nobody listens to me. Oh, thank you very much. I said, did you hear what I just said? Just like I'd rather be with you people than the finest people in the world. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day, a blessed day. Remember, this is a day of rest. Enjoy yourself. Listen to some great, great music. Today, on Spotify, whatever, pull up some Tuba Skinny. Just check this out. If this doesn't make you happy, you're dead. Tuba Skinny out of New Orleans, where their lead singer, oh, is it Erica Lewis? Watch on YouTube. I'm going to go back home. It sounds like Bessie Smith, Big Mama Thornton, Tuba Skinny. It is, I mean, I'm telling you, it is infectious. It gets into your soul. And it is prototypical, quintessential, archetypical American music. Have a great day, my friends. Remember, here we go. God bless America. And one more thing, too. This is still, I love this one. I'm not a big hat guy because I think these hat people look sometimes a little fordo. But this is the new Trump thing. This one says, the rules have changed. I love that. I'm proud, my friend. I'm sorry. We are going to win. We are going to kick down the doors. It has changed. Oh, Lordy, the tsunami is coming. And the Democrats don't even know it. So please don't tell them. Have a great day, my friends. We love you. And until we meet again tonight, 7 p.m., don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.